Dealing with narcissists is way more than finding a technique here and there and after applying on it. It's way more than just creating boundaries and trying to be respected. If you're watching this video, you know that dealing with narcissists is way more than that. They get around, they manipulate you emotionally, and they use your vulnerability against you. Sometimes the problem is not the techniques. Sometimes it's just about our inner attitude that is wrong, the way that we perceive the world. We live in a society that created us to become people that are nice, not good human beings, but nice human beings. And we believe, sometimes subconsciously, that everyone is a nice person, that people are not capable to destroy your whole life. But guess what? Evil people really exist. So in today's video, we are here to discuss about this personality trait of the dark triad, narcissism, and help you to deal with this kind of evil people. Narcissism is a topic that became quite popular, not just because it's an interesting topic, but because we have the necessity in our times to describe evil. We were created to believe, even in school, sometimes from our family, that being nice will solve every single problem. If you're nice with the teacher, they will give you more marks. If you're nice with, if you're a boss, they will pay you well. And conflict in general should be avoided if you don't want to face negative consequences. If you try to argue with your teacher, sometimes they will be unfair. So it's better to just accept it or try to be really polite and negotiate with them, even though they're doing an injustice. I'm just throwing examples here, but our general culture confuses being nice with being good. And this, in my opinion, is the fundamental issue with dealing with narcissists. Oh, Daniel, you're saying that you were talking about how to deal with narcissists and you're not giving any technique. If you don't deal with this fundamental problem, if in your mind you confuse what is being nice with being really good, doesn't matter how much you study techniques about narcissism, they will never be enough because they will always find their ways around it. Okay? So the underlying attitude is way more important than the techniques itself. I will talk about techniques in this video, but we need to make this concept of being a good person, well, otherwise you will not understand how to deal with evil people. The difference between nice people and good people is that nice people, like Jordan B. Peterson says, they are naive. They don't really believe that good exists. They're not capable of evil. They cannot see the evil inside themselves. Like Carl Jung will say, although I'm not really sympathized with Carl Jung like Jordan B. Peterson, and most of the things that I know about Jung came from Peterson. But anyway, they don't integrate their shadow. They didn't integrate the evil part inside of them. And as Catholics, I'm not telling you to embrace sin. What I'm telling you, if you suppress the evil part of you and you don't want even to confront it, you will never create virtue. You will be a bunny scared of yourself. The church never preached to you to suppress what is bad in you, but the church teaches you to look at it with compassion, and try to figure out the problem. We have a spiritual battle. That's what John Cassian says. But how would you start the battle if you don't know what you're battling with? So confronting your evil part is really important, and knowing what this evil part is desiring. And the more you know this evil part, the more good you become, because you start to realize the evil that you could do. And you start to understand the psychology of evil. And you start to understand that not just you are capable to do what the narcissist did, sometimes with intention, sometimes because you fall. There's another difference there. But you start to understand that because you're capable of it, he also is doing that. And sometimes it's not just because he had a bad childhood. It's because he had a bad childhood, but he embraced it. I know a couple of narcissists that they want to change. I myself had narcissistic personality traits pretty strong. I wasn't diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, but you can ask my friends before, like, they would tell you that how narcissistic I was. And by the way, I think it's curable. But the point isn't that. If you don't see the evil inside you, you're not capable of spotting the narcissist. So the first step of dealing with narcissists is changing your fundamental attitude to what? To look inside and seeing the evil inside of you. Okay? This is the first fundamental thing. Because being good doesn't mean that you are not evil. Being good is being capable of doing evil and holding it back. This is really real virtue. The other people are not really virtuous. They're just nice. They're just afraid. They're just afraid bunnies that are not capable to harm an ant. There's no virtue, real virtue on them. The word virtue comes from Latin. Vers comes strength. How you can tell that nice people have strength? You slap them and they're, oh my God, they're on the floor. They cannot harm other people. So we need to change the mindset in order to have a building virtue mindset. I want to be strong. I need to confront the evil inside of me with compassion. With compassion. But this is the theme for another video. Just after we look to the shade, we look to the evil inside of us, this dirty part, to our dirty desires, we start to understand them. And then we can start to talk about some techniques to deal with narcissists. Some punctual things that can help you to deal with them. So this is the underlying issue. Our society pushes us to be nice. And we need to be good. And sometimes being good in our society means to be hated by people. We don't live, my friend, in a society that promotes good people. Good people, because they speak the truth, suffers a lot in our society. So sometimes when you speak the truth and you're suffering, it's normal. We're living in times that people promote narcissists, for example. That people see narcissists, because they're ruthless, as someone that is strong. That people buy the narcissistic dream, the dream the narcissist sells to people, because they're too afraid to confront the real reality, because sometimes the world can be a little bit cruel. And this requires responsibility. This requires you having a sophisticated personality. This requires you, every single thing that happens to you, you'll be there thinking what I can improve and so on. Usually, people don't want to work hard in their personality. Most human beings that pass through this earth never wanted to have any sort of virtue, never wanted to seek truth, never wanted to seek truth. The masses, the people, the crowd never were interested on these things. They want cheap dreams. They want this stuff. So narcissistic people getting popular is not a surprise to me. Not having good people confronting them is the surprise. So this is the fundamental thing. Point your life to be towards being good, towards working in your vices without repressing them, trying to deal with them with compassion. And then after you try to integrate that, we need to try to understand a little bit the mind of a narcissist. And you say, Daniel, didn't you said that if I understand my shade, if I understand the evil part in me, I would understand the narcissist and so on. And that's the problem. Yeah, you understand evil in general. And understanding evil in general gives you antibodies towards evil in general. And narcissists are evil, right? They have evil inside of them. So it gives you antibodies. And I will not enter in the discussion, because there are narcissists that they want to change and there are narcissists that doesn't want to change. I will not make this distinction. The only thing that I'm saying here is that these people cause you pain. And here comes the first narcissistic personality trait. We need to create this specific evil now. After you have the general antibodies, we need to create some specific antibodies now. Narcissist personality trait, narcissistic people, they have one factor, one characteristic that we call cold empathy. Cold empathy, different than real empathy, is that they don't really have this feeling of empathy. So if I start to cry in front of you, you will feel with me my pain. You'll be empathetic. You will start to try to console me. Narcissists, they don't have that. What they have is something cognitive. They look at you and they think, even if they have the best intentions in the world, they think like, what I need to do to make this person do what I need them to do. And here comes the whole problem of the dynamic. you cannot take narcissists as normal people. And this might sound really, really bad because I'm not being inclusive, but I'm being exclusive. But what I'm just saying, my friend, is that they're not the average people that you're used to deal with. Okay? Let's put it in this way, more political correct. They're not the average people that you're used to deal with. Okay? And because of that, they use your empathy to get your attention, to make you praise them, to make you feel guilty, to make you feel that doesn't matter how much you complain about them, they will never be accountable and somehow it's your fault. And this comes because they have an image that they believe that they are, and they need to be feeding that image. And how do they feed? With you, with your attention. That's why we call them social parasites. And that's another reason why they became so popular, because psychopaths might use you and then after throw you away. And then you need to deal with the trauma. Machiavellians, they hide themselves really well because they won the power game. But narcissists, they are there taking from you and taking from you as much as possible. And if it's possible, they will make you their slave. So the thing is, when you're dealing with this kind of people, you cannot take them as if they were the average person that you're dealing with. It's not just about that. You cannot treat them as the average people that you are used to deal with. So that's why, like I said, we have the layers, right? So the general attitude, now the specific attitude, and now there are some things that you can never do to build this pyramid that we are making in this video. And the first thing is, because of their cold empathy, never be vulnerable with them. Never be vulnerable with a narcissist. Never be vulnerable. Unless he's a good narcissist. There are narcissists that are trying to change. But this is a different discussion for another video. Never, in general, never open up with a narcissist. Because you're giving him material to manipulate you. So if you have a boss that is narcissist, never cry in front of him. If he hurts your feelings, go to the toilet. Doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. Try to avoid him as much as possible. And not just that, this leads us to the second point. You need to create emotional distance. Sometimes physical distance is not enough, is not possible because they are your boss. Sometimes they are your parents, you're living with them. But we need to create emotional distance. And you create that in two ways. One, you need to write a diary to speak what is happening. Narcissists, like I said, they will turn the speech against you and they will manipulate the general perception of people to make you look like you're negative. So you writing down what happened is really important so you be grounded and stay on your feet of what is happening. We call this practice of them gaslighting. Okay, I'm complicating the terms, but they are really used to gaslight you. That's why we need to write down everything that happened, how they hurt your feelings, put your feelings out. The second thing, you need to be a stone. Everything that they speak or try to trigger you, you need to be indifferent. You need to be indifferent. In this way, you will make them naturally distant from you because you're not giving to them what they want. That is attention, praise, that you worship them, and you, like I said, feed the image that they have about themselves. Okay, so these are the main characteristics that we need to deal with narcissists. So first, build a general attitude, integrate evil inside of yourself. Second, we need to understand how they think. They have cold empathy and they are trying to feed the image that they project about themselves. And then just after we understand these two basic concepts, we can do some practical things. First, write down everything. Second, never be vulnerable with them. Third, be a rock and stay on with your feet on the ground. Okay? So, if you enjoyed this video, please leave in the comments some strategies that you use to deal with narcissists yourself, because these people, they are more common than we think. Sometimes they even appear in churches or priests or sometimes bishops and so on. Okay? Smash the like button and hope you guys have a really nice weekend.
How many times have you started a new project where after 2 weeks you feel deeply unmotivated? These problems, they're just the surface. What is happening deep in is that you're trying to create the building of your personal life, but no one told you what human life engineering looks like.